Hello everyone, it's about to turn midnight and it's much too late for a working boy like me to be recording a video, but here I am. They say brevity is the soul of wit, and I wish I could follow that advice, but unfortunately I spent 3 hours writing the script, which is too much time, and I hope the video will not be nearly as long as that, but I kind of just kept writing. I've split this video into three parts. Each has been timestamped to be make it easier to watch, because I really don't expect anyone to watch through all of this. First will be about thank yous. Second will be about my player journey over the last few months. Third will be about TOing and the state of the scene and kind of takeaways on that, as well as my own journey as a TO. And then finally, bonus number 4 section, I'll do a shout out for my kind of song of the weekend. So that's kind of what we're in for here. I'm going to try go through as quickly as possible. Then you go to bed. So yeah, I hope you guys get some value out of this for the few of you who actually managed to watch it. Um, this video is inspired by John and Ulton's videos, of course, but also by Tom Popstar. So for those who don't know him, Tom does the amazing weekly roundup posts that show what events are happening each week, and he's been talking about more about getting people to do the post-tourney reports that helps people celebrate the scene and promote events more. So I kind of want to do my part for that, and I'm now noticing I've written too much in my notes where they're not good enough to read straight off, but they're also too wordy to just take as flat notes. But it's fine, we'll get through it. First section, thank yous. First and foremost, the one and only Alton Higgins. I kind of came into the scene as Alton was leaving the scene. Season 3 was essentially my first event that I hadn't organized myself. But it's been really nice to kind of finally get to know Alton more this year. We've interacted a bunch over the years, but finally to sit down and chat and go on car journeys and things together, it's been really nice. And I kind of begged him and kind of weaseled my way into the TO team. First just to run P plus because I needed someone to run that, but then I kind of got involved in all over ways. I can't help myself. I'm a fucking addict for TOing, and when I see something that needs to be done, I'm like, I'll do that. I'll do that. And here we are. We did the poker, we did the hiking, and we did the fucking the bit of hurling and the karaoke and all this shit. But no, yeah. Thank you so much, Ulton, for having me on. It was a pleasure to finally get to work with you. Um, I want to wish you happy retirement here. But I think Monty is telling me that Schism 4 is happening soon, so I think we'll see you then. I'm looking forward to that one. Josh, thank you so much for getting me into the scene essentially. I was a retired old man, Kingdom 7 was my last event. But I was trying to travel more. I've got a car now, and I saw there was an event in Donegal, and I'd always dreamed of Donegal scene because I was like, if there's a Kerry scene, logically that means at some point we'll get a Donegal scene. And it's been this thing I'd kind of said for years. There was like, scientifically there has to be a Donegal scene. And then what happened? It was a beautiful Bevinator and Ian and Charlie and all the guys, and so I was like, okay, I got to go to this, and I don't want to drive to Donegal on my own. I kind of wanted to see Donegal anyways, but if I drove to a Smash event there, I'd have fuckers I could drive from Galway, and I wouldn't be driving a million miles on my own. So I went to Forgotten Face Off, and I had an amazing time. And at that, and I'd spoken to Josh a bit before and different things, but through that, somehow Josh picked me to go to Scummit when the spot opened up. Thank you, to Michael, for bringing his camera van there when it opened up the spot. And yeah, that got me into Melee, so I really appreciate that. The last, I don't know how many months it's been, but it has been amazing. I've met so many amazing people and so many great friends, and it's really, really had an amazing effect on my life, and it's all thanks to you, Josh. Josh, you're an amazing TO. You get shit done, and you prioritize what's important in a really good way. You're a very no bullshit TO, which I appreciate a lot. I'm a very bullshit TO, so I love people like Josh because they're to the point and they focus on what's correct and what needs to be worked on. So I think yeah, I really value you as a TO. Hope you enjoy your retirement as well. Thank you so much for all you do. You've done so many events over the last few years. You've been involved in so many different things with the TNAs and all this stuff. So thank you for all of that. To Rue, yeah, I kind of wrote a weird thing on this, but I kind of wanted to sum up the man. So I said, I think a lot of fanfare, especially in the ultimate scene, goes to TOs who run the most things on the tightest schedule, on the biggest scale. And while those things are important, I've always felt that the most effective and important members of of the scene are the people that make you feel welcome and talk to you at events. A good example of this is like in the early Big Fish days. This is what Gabe and Odie did really, really well, and the Belfast scene flourished as a result of it. And I think Rue is this on crack, which is a terrible analogy because he himself is a warm and calm presence. But I met some people this weekend who said they came just because of Rue. Rue is that guy that you can always say hello to in the hallway, that guy you're never afraid to approach. He really is like the heart of the center of the scene. And on that goddamn Teaghlach logo is what I wrote here, and I think that's correct. I think he's an amazing, amazing person, and we're so lucky to have him. And I cannot wait to see what he does with the event moving forwards. Shout out to all the incredible staff members, though. Mihal, best thing I ever did was give you lift to Donegal. Such an incredible person to speak to and hang out with in the smoking area. Bev, there's so many words that have been said and will continue to be said about the Bevinator. The word I'm going to use now is electricity. Cork will miss you dearly, brother. Don't be long. Eamon, crazy to think I've known you 6 years, maybe 7. That's terrible. I can't believe I wrote that. But you read Eamon is like the pioneer who paved the road for us ultimate players to make the migration to the lands of Melee. So he's really groundbreaking that way, and it's really amazing to see him thrive in this scene and really just become such an essential member of it. Do so much, the see you at home, things like that. So thank you so much. Vlurk has been an amazing person to meet. I cannot wait to speak Kupla Fucko with you more soon, my friend. Hopefully it's not too long before we have you over again, or who knows, maybe we'll go over and see you. I'm quite bad at traveling these days for Smash, but hopefully it won't be too long. Ty Monty, I'm always showering this man at praises. I remember my first and only, unfortunately, BOAOB. He at this was both supplying the weeds, I think, and running the stream. And when I spoke to him, he'd been running a tournament every weekend for I think it was 6 weeks straight, which is crazy. Like, this guy carried Melee on his back for years. He was behind like every Melee bracket in the country for a significant period before this recent boom. So huge shout out to Monty. I think that term was all his mother had brought him down from Nace, especially with the equipment. My last note for Ty here is marry me, please. Shout out as well to Cleo on stream. I wish we could have interacted more on the weekend, but you did an amazing job with the production quality. So shout outs on there. Then there's some kind of more of the unofficial staff members from the team that I wanted to shout out. Brian Blue Purcell Kennelly must have helped me with TOing 100 times over the weekend. During the dark ages of Irish Melee, Brian is the man who kept it alive with things like Melee Mondays. Whenever, I was doing a lot of young at that time, and whenever you wanted to run Melee at an ultimate event, Brian would turn up, see your T's and W's in hand, no questions asked, and run the whole thing for us. Odyssey, Level 1, Turf War, whatever it was, he was always there, and he kept Melee going for the eventual revival from Rue, Ty, and others more recently. So, huge, huge shouts to Brian. Antu could do with his ego being he could do without his ego being massaged any further, but he really did help me out a lot over the weekend, especially with the hike. He's also one of my closest friends, and I love him dearly. God, I hate being so sloppy. On the topic of egos that need no massaging, Pascal, for those who he has not yet made aware, is the most competent on-the-day organizer in the country. If you need something done at events, he will handle it with excellence and precision. One of our best karaoke's yet, I think, James. And he really took the reins this time, I must say. I would go on, but have you seen his Twitter? Shouts to Nate as well, who hard carried in the poker organisation, as well as, of course, Pascal again for running the upper table. Shouts as well to Sean and Jacob for bringing in the chips for us to play with. Huge thank you as well to Enra for supplying the AV equipment for karaoke. You're the sweetest guy ever. I love you dearly. And now we're getting to the non-TOs, and there's so many people to mention, so I'm just going to rush through this, because there's people that I am going to have forgotten, there's people I'm not going to have talked too much about relative to other people, and it's terrible, and I hate it, I'm going to feel so anxious about this after, so I'm just going to blast through it. Shouts to Muncher, had a bunch of lovely boys and girls in my carpool, Toad Awesome, incredible mod maker, Evan Buggy, who's from Wexford, it turns out, Jade Fox for being my oracle on any questions I've had about the game over the past few months, Jules, who just texted me, what a coincidence, hopefully this is about TOing stuff, Jules, who I had fantastic conversations with about TOing over the weekend, and also has an amazing music taste. I didn't write that, but putting that in there, is the future of Munster, and I cannot wait to see what you put together in future. And finally, Morris, who is our emergency passenger on the way home. Hope you're mending well, and also if Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeil is watching, St John's Hospital in Limerick needs more parking. We couldn't find any on Monday. Um, Not in my car, but thanks to Rena for bringing his hurl for a puck about and for smuggling my refugee Ruby up to the event after I got her in last minute. Shout out to Don as well for taking one of the setups I inherited, as he's promised to bring it in along for all future Munster events. Finally, it was my absolute pleasure to finally meet Connell, who I last spoke to, I think, when I was like 17. I looked up messages from Connell, and it was like one message said he was calling me the Night King, and the other message, I don't know. I tried to find it, I couldn't find it. But Connell basically knew a girl in college who was sisters with a girl that went to my youth club, which is where I started TOing. So I wasn't talking to this guy before I knew anyone, before I was ever in the scene. So it's really cool to finally meet him and see the fucking magic. The God created Corkman. If you haven't checked out his combo video from back in the day, please do. He's got this beautiful Cork jersey on the Captain Palace skin. It's beautiful. So yeah, amazing to finally meet Connell. Hopefully we see a lot more of him soon. It seems like we will. Minter shouts as well to my coach, Frogchip, who really is an incredible teacher. He's put so much time into me over the last few months, and I really don't know how to thank the man enough. Even before Sim started, the guy was giving me direction, feedback, and motivation, all in my own language, making everything make sense. I think the last conversation we had was you telling me you were going to turn me into cool Hitler. This is about my gameplay, not about anything else. So we'll see how that goes. I think the idea is he wants me to do more cool stuff, but also be more of an arsehole. Because yeah, let's not dwell on that anymore. John Barrett has also been an incredible help in my journey. I usually hate working remotely in my job, but now it's not so bad because I know if I hop onto VC during lunch, I'll get to chat about the game with John, which is class. Other huge shout outs to people like Daisy, Greg, Boyer, Cranion, Charlie, Adam, Ian, Jebsy, and so many others who helped me grind and improve the game. Naproxen as well, who I had only just met this weekend, but had some really lovely kind words about my gameplay that really validated the work I've been putting in. So thank you for that. Shoutouts to my opponents that I have not just mentioned, like Brendan Like Fishalot, Memekin, Screechu, Restless Whale, Michael, and Overrated. Shoutouts to Cowboy Dan for what I think was another fantastic comms block, although I'm afraid to watch back the VOD after you told me that Cody Schwab was trash talking me for getting the schedule wrong. I don't know if that's true, but I'm afraid to read it back. Shout out to Steven Soup, who I love to bits and is always an incredible hangout. Shout out to the drivers, two which had breakdowns, Robin Loxley and Fyung Fingy, Austin the Hassogi. Love you guys lots. To all the photographers, Scott, Charlie, Ship, etc. Thank you to you guys. Negative shout out to G60, who woke me at like 4 a.m. with a flashlight while rooting through my bag for a fucking shaver. Fuck you, G60. Hate your ass. Shouts to Elliot for his generous patronage over the weekend, along with a race, Sunshine Daniel Average. Thank you so much. You know why. Kieran Verdant for playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern with me, and the lovely English lads who let myself and Morris play Edison. Really appreciated that. There's so many other names. I'm just going to name a bunch of people quickly here, but I'm not going to get everyone. Doran, Sophia, Connor Maxey, James Fernando, Mark, Andy, Raz, Molly, David, M, Hugh fucking Hegarty. I could go on, but this has already went on so long, so I'm going to stop. But thank you all, guys, so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm getting more texts from Jules. This is awesome. I think this is TO business. I'm very excited. Stay tuned, folks. Player thoughts. So the next section is will be me as my career as a journey. So I started playing Melee on April 14th this year. I was doing like an online training course, and I said, fuck it, I've got a PC now. I'll just do some Uncle Punch, because what else am I doing? I'm bored in this lecture anyways. Melee to me was like Die Hard, you know? I was like this ultimate guy with no tech skill, no movement, and no punish, with only my game knowledge to carry me to victory. So, you know, I was like, I gotta try to beat these guys just by, you know, using my brain. Stupid shit. I saw a lot of success early on, though, going into the tournament with the goal of just beating one new person at an event, which was pretty reasonable considering the influx of new players at the time. You know, I just think I circle camped Peach down smash. I platform camped Puffs to get so they'd aerial me into not being an up throw resp range anymore. I would just drill shine ices. You know, I'd just spam full off versus Falco. Simple stuff, but it did work. And then after Forgotten Face Off, I really just started grinding the game out. So, you know, it's kind of that and Turf War, that kind of period where I really kind of locked in. Around then as well as when Simp started. So I was practicing 6 or 7 days a week, always doing a half an hour of Uncle Punch drills, followed by some net play or 20xx versus CPUs. I also had my weekly VOD reviews at Frogchip, as well as the online events like the Netplay League or the See You at Homes. Just to give an idea of how much I was doing, like in the final month for Teaghlach, I actually started logging the training I was doing, and I found out I was averaging about 2.5 hours of training a day, which is like over 17 hours a week, which was crazy. So now what came with this? So despite the increased regimen, however, this also came at the same time when the well of players to practice for and defeat began to dry up more and more. I was left with the unfortunate barrier that tons of players much stronger than myself and a cohort of players just above me that I was struggling to defeat. This had this was and has been quite demoralizing for me, as I want to work to equal results. But unfortunately, this is not feasible or healthy or realistic. As a daily grinder, you're kind of carried by the faith that the seeds you plant and the things you practice will yield fruit within time, but hitting walls and stagnating results are a test of faith in that. Still, Teaghlach was always the end goal, so I kept grinding and adjusting as necessary where I thought or where my coach thought I needed the most improvement. So how did I do in the end? Well, I didn't take exam tools. uh, so, that is what it is, but in spite of this, I do think I was playing some of the best melee I ever have last weekend. I had some very validating games for people like Greg, who I find a lot, and Naproxen, where I really felt my improvement was on display. So that was great, and I am very happy with that on its own. Problem is, I now have no goals. Recent grinding hasn't been translating into the results I want, and there is no major upcoming events I'm preparing for. This leaves me in a weird place. 17 hours a week, not including time spent out hanging out in VC, is an awful lot. And considering I'm also working full time, this is not sustainable. To keep playing and to build melee into my routine long term, I will need to play a lot less. And if I am not reaching the benchmarks I hope for now, how can I hope to reach those benchmarks when I'm putting less time into the game? That's what I'm worried about. I keep looking here because this is where my cam is, but the script is here. I'm going to put it like here and just try and make that work. Yeah, that might work better. So when I consider all that, my immediate first thought is to quit. And honestly, that's what I felt all week. I've been avoiding the game and avoiding the VC, but also having this free time has given me a lot of time to think as well. And I'm not quite done with you fuckers yet. I can't let Boyer pass me out. I really want to finally take that set off Fat Rolls. I want to be there when Daisy finally takes a set off me. I want to be there when Jules brings us the next big regional in Munster. I don't want to miss Scummit, our World Atlantic Wave Dash, our Forgotten Face Off, our Teaghlach 2, and most importantly, I want to keep seeing all of you. So I've decided to recommit to the grind, albeit for just 3.5 hours a week. My thinking is that consistency beats intensity when it comes to improvement, so I have an opportunity here to build a sustainable schedule with the game that can last long term. Will it work? Who knows? But here's the plan. My current biggest issue is my openings per kill. I need to find ways to practice my punish that aren't just practicing wave shines. A major factor here is lacking situational awareness for when I can get simple and effective punishes. I am finding players who practice the game in a less correct way than my over-the-top regimen with all the different bells and whistles for all the things you have to practice. And these players are much better at finding simple, high-value answers in situations. A great example of this is over the weekend in my final match versus Pascal and Bronze, where I lost in the punish. My wave shines might have been better, my up throws and platform might have been better, but he had simple ideas like F Smash Tech Chase that simply cleaned house. And I need to spend time playing and discovering these answers for myself. As such, I'm going to focus a lot more on just playing with people for practice. I find playing others is tough on my ego sometimes compared to solo practice, because in solo practice I can actually see the improvement and I can have easy benchmarks and goals to work towards. But there are players who almost exclusively play against others to practice, and I think many of those players are improving faster than me for a reason right now. I think my movement and control has gotten quite solid, much more to be done of course, but I think that will come with time as well, so I'm going to take this out of my training. My solo practice is going to be reduced to only implementing things I don't have the confidence to go for in-game right now. Mainly ledge dashes, instant nairs, and Shana shields. Anything else I might not be perfect at, sure, but I'm confident enough that I will be going for them in-game, and that means the game and playing the game will help me practice them. That's my player thoughts. TO thoughts. We're nearly there, guys. Teaghlach is exactly the kind of event I aspire to as a TO. For those who don't know, I was a TO for many years. I'm still helping out at events, but I was like one of the main TOs in Ireland for a long time. I would say from probably the year of 2020 up until like 2020, I don't know, three, kind of four. But as the melee scene kicked off on its own, I wasn't really involved in that anymore. I was more the ultimate side. But back in the day, those were the same thing. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But why was Teaghlach so amazing? Multiple days plus on-site accommodation gives breathing room and allows people time to go on side quests, hang out, and make memories. This is really important, and this is why Kingdom is designed the way it is. I think this is such an essential thing to make a good event, and it's why level one, for as impressive as it was as a technical feat of doing so many brackets in one day, wasn't as good an event that year as Kingdom 5, because Kingdom 5 had that room to breathe and to hang out with people and make memories and make new friends, and it was more that grassroots feel, and that's what's really, really important. I'm going off script. There's tons of things to do on the side, like poker, karaoke, hikes, friendly setups, Yu-Gi-Oh, and smoking fags, of course. We also had an incredible main bracket with amazing production quality, commentators, and matches. This, in my mind, is the blueprint. No one talks about an event that there was just a bracket and you go home. Giving people more time to socialize, interact, and connect is at the core of grassroots community, and being a grassroots community is what makes Smash so special. That being said, one day in and out events are essential in the interim. We can't be going on a holiday every few weeks, unfortunately, but we can try and implement these elements into our own events and these other events. People know me well for running a million stupid side brackets at events, whether it be marbles, poker, karaoke, five-a-side soccer, or worst of all, fighting games. Why am I doing a comedy routine in this? I'm sorry. The thing is, these work. People want reasons to come to events, and the more reasons you give someone, the more likely they'll be to come. This is why it's especially good to have things like the marbles, the poker, that you can just put someone else in charge of, or you can have things that run themselves that you don't have to worry about as a TO. You can get someone else to do it, and it's another attraction to the event without actually taking away. It doesn't have to be scheduled in around other things. It can just happen in the background for anyone who's free at the time. I'm going off script again. Let's keep going. Okay. The melee scene is also, I think, a shining example of what cultivating VC and online culture can do for a scene. Joining a voice channel or a Netplay Weekly is so much easier than commuting to Dublin to get your ass kicked by a 15-year-old Game Watch player. Shoutouts. Another huge thing about the melee scene I think is fantastic is the positivity. Everyone is so insistent on being nice, caring, and supportive of each other. I wish I understood the secret formula for how this came to be, but if I had to guess, a lot of it comes down to individuals. People like Bev or Enra will revere anyone who enters the room, like the second coming of Christ. They make you feel like a special little princess, and I adore that. As always, I'll do my usual call to action. You are part of this community. There are no categories like TO or player. We are all scene members, and the only thing that differentiates us is some people decide to help out sometimes. Getting more involved in the scene and helping out is incredibly rewarding, and it helps you give back to your scene that gives you so much. You don't need to sign a 10-event deal. You can just start by doing a small, one-time thing. We all appreciate so much if you do. Smash is an incredible creative outlet, whether it's graphics, commentary, scheduling, financials, video editing, photography, write-ups, advertising, equipment transporting, streaming, prize creation, etc., etc., etc. There's so many ways you can get involved. As for myself, I still really enjoy TOing other people's events. So please let me TO at your event, please. Specifically, I want to help out Scummit. I want to help Jules get the next big Cork event going. I'd be honoured if Rue would allow me involved at Teaghlach next year too. So please, if I'm coming to your event or I'm interested in coming to your event, please let me TO at your event. I just love it. It's a social outlet for me. I get to meet people. I get to feel useful. It's great, and it helps me forget how bad I do in bracket. If you made it this far in the video, or you just skipped to this point, I know what you're looking for. And I'm sorry to say that I'm still retired and I have no plans for my own events anytime soon. I'll never say never, but even if I wanted to, I really don't have time in my schedule for Kingdom this year, or even next year. I'll be in Japan in the regular window, for one, next February, so that's just not, it's impossible. Don't expect Kingdom, don't expect a surprise Kingdom announcement. I know I usually do in Christmas, it's not going to happen this time, guys, I'm sorry. Finally, as promised, final shout out will be for the song of the tournament. This is Moon by Neil Young, both in terms of helping me sleep through the noise of the smoking area, because one of the windows was just always open, but also in being the kind of perfect embodiment of that feeling of contentment and romanticism that I felt about the whole weekend. Like what I kept saying to the TOs every time I talked to them at the end of the event, I was like, what a beautiful thing we have. That's why I said to a bunch of TOs at the end, and that song I kind of just embodied that lovey feeling I have for the whole thing. So it was fantastic. Thank you for anyone who watched this far. You're crazy if you did. Love you all lots. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thank you so much. Have a good evening or day or whatever it is for you guys. Bye, so.